Hello, friends. Today is World Wetlands Day 2024. It is 2nd February. And many of us know that every year on 2nd February, World Wetlands Day is celebrated or observed throughout the planet Earth, throughout the world. This year, the global central theme to observe this day is wetlands and human well-being, and it is very relevant and very appropriate theme because in a nutshell, humans cannot exist without wetlands, though many of us are not aware of this fact. Okay, even in our daily life, especially in the minds of citizen, it is subconsciously occurring that water is coming out of faucets, right? But we don't have time to think about hydrological cycle and the place of wetlands in this hydrological cycle and how that water from wetlands come to our faucets. So celebration or observing such days is very important to remind all these things, that we are not separate from nature, let it be wetlands. And that's why this theme is also very important, wetlands and human well-being. Human well-being is done by wetlands by provisioning of food like rice and fish, then by recharging groundwater, absorbing floods, and removing the impurities or pollutants or toxic metals from the rainwater runoff. So all these things are done by wetlands. The wetlands are also considered as biological supermarkets because they support vast food chains and food webs, and they support huge number of a variety of vertebrates and invertebrate animals and microscopic and macroscopic plants. And through all this, wetlands are doing well-being of human society. I'm a bit afraid that human being is not taking care of wetlands properly. Okay, we expect well-being from wetlands, but in return, we don't get time to consider about well-being of wetlands. And that's why such days are very important. At least once in a year, the entire world would be thinking about wetlands today, that is on 2nd February. Coming to the topic, the Foundation for Ecological Welfare, which is a not-for-profit foundation, will be celebrating this day, or rather observing this day, by having small programs today and tomorrow. Okay, so today the online presentation has been arranged on wetlands, and this is planned for our viewers. We have invited wetland expert Dr.Dishant Parashaya, who will be talking about wetlands and how do they important for the well-being of human society. Dr. Dishant Parashaya is currently working as a senior curator at Gujarat Council of Science City, and he's looking after a very remarkable aquatic gallery with lots of marine animals in it. In the past, he has worked as scientist of well-recognized institution of India, that is Bombay Natural History Society. And he has done a lot of research in coastal areas of India. And he has also served as a senior researcher at Gujarat's reputed organization working in the field of ecology, that is Gujarat Ecological Education and Research Foundation. Today he will be talking about, in general, about wetlands and how do they important for human well-being. So without wasting much of time, I would invite Dr. Dishant Parashaya to deliver his presentation. Welcome, Dishant.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Dishant Parashaya, and I'm senior curator working with Science City in Ahmedabad. I'm looking after the aquatic gallery at Science City. And today is a pleasure day for me to talk about wetlands and its classification and how they are useful to the human beings. And I thank Dr. Ketan Tatu for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk about wetlands with you all. Thank you so much, sir. So the 2nd February is celebrated as World Wetlands Day. And this year, the theme is really very interesting, wetlands and human well-being. Why wetlands, how they are helpful, and how they play a vital role in human well-being. That's what the theme this year it is. Every year on the 2nd of February, this World Wetlands Day is celebrated. And every year there is a different theme. And it is very interesting that how it is useful to human. But before we start, joining the dots between the wetlands and humans, let us try to understand that how these wetlands are. What is the exact definition of wetlands, and what kind of area we should call as wetland? So actually, there is no standard definition for wetlands. But if we have to go with some definition, then Ramsar Convention has given a definition that says that areas of marsh, fen, wetland, or water, whether natural or artificial, permanent or temporary, static or flowing, fresh, brackish water, salt water, including the areas of marine water. I mean, everything can be called as wetland where the low tide does not exceed 6 meters. So there is only a one clause which says the depth of the water, which does not exceed the 6 meter depth. We call them wetlands. So whatever you imagine, waterlogged areas, most of them are wetlands. And rightly, they are quite critical now in our life, because if we consider water as one of the prime source of our life, wetlands are the first one to provide it. So wetlands are critical for us, for our health, for the entire ecosystem which surrounds us. Wetland can be of many types. And if we go by the classic classification system, it can be divided into two parts, whether it can be a natural wetland or a man-made wetland. Natural wetlands are freshwater, which are rivers, ponds, streams, some puddles. All these are natural wetlands of freshwater nature. If we consider the marine water or the salt water, then intertidal ecosystems of the oceans, like coral reefs, mangroves, mudflats, all these are the marine water or the seawater ecosystems which are considered as wetlands. And estuaries, which has brackish water and where the fresh water meets the marine water, these estuaries are also considered as the wetlands. And all these are natural wetlands. But if we consider irrigation reservoirs, aquaculture ponds, or salt ponds, these all are man-made wetlands, and they are also of equal significance when it comes to sustaining the diversity and helping the human well-being, whether through producing salt or producing the protein through aquaculture. Even these man-made wetlands are equally important. And biodiversity-wise, they are equally rich, or I would say more richer than the rainforest. Wetlands sustain thousands of birds, butterflies, dragonfly, you see various type of vegetation. There are special types of grasses, submerged vegetation, all these kind of vegetation you can see in and around the wetland. A lot of fishes you can see in the wetland. I think it is one of the most diverse vertebrate group the fishes are. And invertebrates, like you can see a lot of crabs, mollusks, so many creatures you can see in and around wetland. So even biodiversity wise, wetland has a significant role to play in food web, food change, and in the overall biodiversity conservation. Now let us look at the scenario in the Gujarat, how the wetlands of Gujarat look alike, or what role Gujarat is playing in the wetlands. I'm very happy to say that Gujarat has almost one third area of the entire wetland ecosystem of the country. Gujarat has the one third area of wetlands, that is almost 30%. If you can see the image, there are a lot of black colored dots. These all are inland wetlands throughout the state. But why this 30%, such a huge area is wetland, is mainly because of the coastal wetlands. Gujarat has two beautiful Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Khambat, and it has a very good intertidal areas, mudflats, which almost consists of 28,000 square kilometer area, which is more than 50% of the coastal area of coastal wetlands of India. However, the inland wetland area is also significant. That is almost 6,500 square kilometer area, and it is not a very small area. However, it is quite less compared to the entire country. But 6,500 square kilometer area as an inland wetland is also not a bad number. So the if we consider the total wetland area of Gujarat is around 34,000 square kilometers, 81% is the coastal wetlands. So we have wonderful mudflats, coral reefs, mangroves, full of diversity and full of economic value. So if we look at Gujarat and the wetlands of Gujarat, we have shallow saline wetlands, that is Great and Little Run of Kutch, very unique ecosystem, which is not found anywhere else in the entire subcontinent. But this is very unique ecosystem which acts as a wetland during the monsoon period, and later it dries up in the late winter and summer. As mentioned earlier, coastal wetlands are the two beautiful gulfs, Gulf of Khambat and Gulf of Kutch. Also, we have man-made wetlands, salt pans, and producing a very good amount of salt, which is supplied in the entire Asian regions. And a lot of aquaculture ponds are nowadays coming up, and it is also serving as a great economic value to the human being. Some inland wetlands which are man-made are the irrigation tanks and reservoirs like Thol, Pariyej, Wadwana. These all are the irrigation reservoirs, and natural wetlands or the natural inland wetlands are Nal Sarovar, Chari Dhand. These all are inland wetlands which are natural in nature. You can see lakhs of flamingo chicks in the in the Great Run, the lesser flamingo chicks. Gulf of Kutch, more than 7,000 square kilometer area with 42 islands. Gulf of Khambat, which has extensive mudflats with a tidal amplitude of almost 11 to 12 meters. So that means that during the high tide, the depth of the water is 12 meters, and during the low tide, it becomes almost zero. So that is the very unique characteristic of Gulf of Khambat. And salt pans, these all are the coastal or the marine wetland ecosystems. Some of the wetland ecosystems are protected areas, especially Nal Sarovar Bird Sanctuary, which is one of the biggest natural reservoir. It is 120 square kilometer area. Then Thol Bird Sanctuary is an irrigation reservoir. Khijadia Bird Sanctuary, Porbandar Bird Sanctuary, and the Marine National Park and Sanctuary. These are pure wetland ecosystems which are under the protection, protected by the State Forest Department. And all these sanctuaries are having a great diversity value also, and has wonderful ecosystem services also. This is something which gives national importance to the wetlands, and not only national. It puts the wetland on the international map. That is Ramsar Convention, the Convention for Conservation of Wetlands. This came in action on 1st February 1982. In 1971, the treaty took place in city of Iran called Ramsar, and a lot of like-minded countries came together to conserve these wetlands, and that's why it came in action in 1982. India is also party to this convention. Till date in India, 75 sites are there, which are Ramsar sites. Now, how you decide these Ramsar site is also very interesting. There are certain criteria based on the diversity of the area, number of birds present in the area during the peak migration season. During the non-migratory season, there has to be some number. The site should have at least few numbers of the endangered category species, some endemic species. It can be even flora also in terms of endemism. You'll be surprised to know that Punjab has declared a Ramsar site based on one of the grass species. So Ramsar Convention is not only looking out for the sites which are important to the birds, majorly for birds, but not only for birds. So it looks after the other flora and fauna also. So in India, there are about 75 sites covering an area of 13,000 square kilometers. And recently, 5 more sites have been added, which are from Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. In Gujarat, there are 4 sites which have been identified as Ramsar sites and has an international importance globally. These are Nal Sarovar Bird Sanctuary, which was declared in 2014. Then subsequently in 2021, Thol Wildlife Sanctuary and Wadwana Wetland, which is an irrigation, both Thol and Wadwana, both are irrigation reservoirs basically. They were declared as Ramsar sites, and in 2022, Khijadia was also declared as Ramsar site. Khijadia is basically, very old structure, a very old wetland made by His Highness of Jamnagar in 1920. And this was basically to stop the salinity ingress coming to the, farmland, to the farmland of the farmers. And now this ecosystem harbors more than 300 species of birds, out of which 125 or 130 are basically the wetland birds or wetland dependent birds, and more than 1.5 lakh birds visit this area during the peak migratory seasons. Indian skimmers, cranes, these are the important, birds for which a lot of tourists also come to this place to see these birds. Wadwana is an irrigation reservoir in the Vadodara district. This was also constructed by His Highness of Baroda in 1910. So this is also more than 100-year-old wetland and has more than, about 50,000, 60,000 birds coming here during the peak migratory seasons. And red-crested pochard, black-necked stork, these are the important species. Thol is now a wildlife sanctuary and has more than 320 bird species, of which 110 are almost water birds. And out of these 110, 30 birds are in the threatened category of the IUCN list. And that's why this wetland is very, very important, though very small in size in the geographical area, but this is very important wildlife sanctuary for conservation regime. Nal Sarovar, very vast and very huge area, almost 120 square kilometer area, and almost 1,75,000 to 2 lakh birds visit this area every year. And it is not a small number, I guess. More than 200 species, and sociable lapwing, marble teal, nowadays a red-breasted goose is also coming to this area. So these are the species one will look for whenever they visit this sanctuary. Now we are coming to the part that how these wetlands are important to human being in addition to birds or its diversity, or in any other aspect. First thing is these wetlands provide water to us, our basic need, air, water and food, where water stands on the second after air. Majority of our water comes from these wetlands, and no doubt about it. So the prime requirement of human is coming from wetland. The second one, food. Then comes the livelihood, climate. Wetlands control the climate like anything, and wetlands are also very much important in determining the culture of the people, and the culture reflects the wetlands in one or the other way. And of course, what we saw is the biodiversity. Wetlands are essential for human life, and no doubt about it, because our existence relies on the water. Only 2.5% of water on earth is fresh water, and out of that only 1% is accessible for human use, because most of the other part is stored as glaciers in the high ranges. So this 1% comes from these wetlands, and that's why this source is very important to us. It provide almost all of fresh water. It fulfills our freshwater need, and the silt rich soil and plants, they filter this water. The freshwater wetlands have the plants, the soil, which actually filters the water, and that's why these wetlands are also known as the kidneys of earth. uh, they provide food through irrigation, or through fish resources. They are most of the earth, they depend. 95% of inland fisheries catch occurred in developing countries, where it often plays a vital nutritional role. And this aquaculture and all these are the food resources. A lot of irrigation, most of the irrigation taking place is because of these wetlands. And they offer services. Wetlands offer services like clean water, food security and nutritional variety, clean air, medicines. Lot of plant species occurring in these wetlands, a lot of animal species, for example sponges. Now, sponges occurring in the coral reef ecosystem, they have certain molecules which can cure cancer, and a lot of research is being going on in this direction. So there are multiple examples like this in which are wetland dependent species, whether flora or fauna, and they act like medicines. Climate stabilization, because these wetlands with their sediments and their vegetation, they are much better carbon sinks than the trees on the terrestrial ecosystems. So in the climate stabilization, in regulating the heat or the temperature, wetlands play a vital role. Also, the wetlands are very soothing in a scenic way. They are very charismatic, and as a landscape also, they look very beautiful. So for the mental well-being also, these kind of landscapes are very important to us. Of course, they provide jobs, and one of the classic example is out of 8 people, at least one person is directly dependent worldwide on the economy through wetlands. So, and even if we see historically, most of the large cities or any kind of cultural establishment started, societal establishment started at the banks of the river or something, like it has a connection with the wetlands. So always people look for wetlands as a source of economy also, whether it is a recreational or through food or even through transportation. I mean, these all are the possible ways of getting revenue from the wetlands. Wetlands help us mitigate and adapt to climate change and its impacts. Almost 1.5 million gallons of flood water is stored in these wetlands, and it controls the flood. Wetlands are basically the flood controllers. With if we reclaim the wetlands and start building houses and industries, then the major problem will be floods, because these wetlands, they absorb water like anything. They recharge the aquifers, and if this kind of services is not fulfilled, then it will be a direct threat to the human being. And as I said, that they absorb the carbon at almost 55 times faster than the tropical rainforest. So these wetlands are the real carbon sinks. And blue carbon ecosystems provide critical CO2 storage in vegetation, soils, and sediments. As I mentioned earlier, that these are the things look for which one should look for. And even nowadays, blue economy is coming up, where a lot of corporates, a lot of industrial giants, governments are planning to invest in blue carbon economy, where a lot of carbon sinks are being developed in the ocean, where like mangrove plantations, seagrass restorations, and a lot of things are happening to aggravate, to popularize these kind of carbon sinks, because they are much faster than the terrestrial ones. Some of the case studies where there can be conflict, there can be harmony with wetlands, diversity, and so many other things. Here you can see a picture where there is a harmony. Cranes are living with people around them, and it's a very beautiful sign of cultural inculcation, that people and birds can stay together in a wetland ecosystem. However, this is a classic case of uh, when a pelican-like bird comes to the wetland, it can eat up to 40,000 kilo fish in a day for 180 days, which is almost about 72 lakh kilogram of fish. And now, if you consider 300 rupees a kg fish, then those who are dependent on economy through fishing, it is a big loss. And who will bear it? Of course, the fishermen who want to earn some revenue out of these fishes. But these fishermen are culturally quite tolerant. They don't kill the bird, and that is how wetland diversity, economy, and human belief, everything is interconnected in these kind of cases. And that is why this is a phenomena occurring every year. But even today it is happening, but very few cases where fishermen scare away the birds. uh, there are a lot of cases where in the domestic sewage also you find these kind of birds diversity, but we are not identifying them as wetlands. Even in Porbandar, Bhavnagar, the same thing, that these are the wetlands or not. There is a question mark because they have the sewage outflow. They fulfill a lot of criteria of Ramsar, but because it is a sewage area, we are not classifying them as wetlands. A lot of gray leg goose come to Gujarat to feed upon grains and pulses, and the farmer has the loss. But it's a cultural belief that you cannot scare away the birds. So the agricultural ecosystem, wetland ecosystem, all are interconnected culturally. It's a funny thing to offer some snacks like gathia and everything to these birds in wetlands. But yes, it is happening, and somewhere people are connected with the birds through this kind of false practices also. And yes, government is taking care that these things they don't happen, but this is also a connection between humans, wetlands, and biodiversity. But what are the major threats which are really hampering the wetland ecosystems, and especially in the freshwater wetlands? The major problem is the waste disposal and pollution through sewage. Industrial runoffs are also a problem. Open defecation, of course, in the urban areas it is not happening, but still in some of the rural areas, open defecation is a problem, especially where we have the small village ponds or like that. The open defecation and then washing of clothes and everything, this is a big problem in the rural areas. Land reclamation is a problem of urban areas where a lot of ponds have been reclaimed in the name of beautification also sometimes, which does not allow percolation of water and recharge of aquifers. So that is also a problem. Over harvesting of resources in the race of getting more revenue. A lot of resources like fishes and everything has been harvested like anything, maybe for ornamental use or for the use as protein, but resources have been harvested like anything. And one of the biggest threat is the invasive species, which kills out the native ones and does not allow them to grow. So that is also a big problem in the freshwater wetlands. What is the existing framework that we have to take care of these kind of practices? We have lot of means so many acts and regulations and rules, starting from CRZ, where we can take care of the coastal areas. Environment Protection Act, we have Fisheries Act, Wildlife Protection Act, we have Maritime Zones of India Act, and recently in 2017 the Wetlands Conservation and Management Rules. Though it is not an act, but these rules were amended, and there are many more which you can think of, and that is the existing framework we have. But the major question mark here is the implementation, and how we can change the mindset of common people towards wetlands and its conservation. What This is my belief that inclusive awareness and consultation with stakeholders is the prime requirement now. It's the need of the hour that in isolation nobody would be able to do anything. So each and every stakeholder, whether directly or indirectly related to the wetlands, needs to be made aware about the wetlands, about its diversity, about its benefits, whether it is ecological benefits or economical benefits. They need to be there has to be an inclusive awareness about it. Lot of things are like that. We are not very much aware of our own resources, like we are not aware of a lot of fishes which are native or which are endemic. So somewhere we need to inventorize them, somewhere we need to do a bit of research on their dynamics also, and some long term ecological monitoring is also required with reference to the indicators which indicate the climate change. So these kind of academic and hardcore research is also required. Species ecosystem regional action plans for their recovery are also required, and if we fail in all these things, then ultimately we have to go for ecosystem restoration programs. As a citizen, as a normal human being, what we can do is, responsible behavior while, using the resources or disposing the waste. We have to be quite responsible that what is happening to the waste that we are disposing. Fill up the data gap that are, ample amount of taxa which needs our help. Not only birds, there are so many other diversity that require our attention. If we can fill up that gap, then I think it will be a great service to the society. Whenever a lot of people are going for photography, they should collect the population data also, and that will lead to a better conservation policy. Participate in citizen science programs like AWC. A lot of censuses are taking place, bird walks. These kind of programs also help in conserving wetlands. And ultimately, it is very easy to preach, but very difficult to practice, is the minimalistic lifestyle. Use resources which are required. That's it. Don't waste resources. And I think it is quite difficult if we don't do it now. So my appeal to everyone that resources are very precious, whether wetlands, forest, or any resource. We have to use it very wisely for our future generation. Otherwise, we are putting our future generation at stake. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Dishant. It was a wonderful and quite comprehensive presentation on wetlands, and I'm confident that uh, our young people who might have been seeing this, they would benefit from your presentation. They would know a lot of fundamental things about wetlands and how they are useful for uh, our existence, that is, the existence of human society. With many examples of wetlands from Gujarat, you have well demonstrated the variety of wetlands and the rich bird life and other wildlife they support, etc. So I'm extremely happy and I'm very, very thankful to you, Dr. Dishant, for sparing your valuable time. I know you are a very, very busy person, but despite that, you have spared time for our young enthusiasts. So thanks a lot once again. Friends, with this, before concluding, I would introduce you to what we are going to do tomorrow. And tomorrow, we have organized one very, very unique program. Uh, Representatives of Foundation for Ecological Welfare, along with a few students, university students, would be visiting various wetlands of the state of Gujarat. And these wetlands will be visited randomly. We would try to cover as many wetlands as possible from early morning to late evening. At each wetland, we will spend 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and we will be doing various tests, which we call wetland health diagnostic tests. Let me explain it in some details. We have prepared some data sheets, and in that, we have listed some parameters which can be used as parameters to understand the health of that particular wetland. Suppose we reach a wetland called A. We will stop here and we would start the simple test of this wetland to understand its health status. The wetland health status will be categorized into three categories. Number one, good health, moderate health, and poor health. And these three status of wetland, that is good, moderate, and bad or poor, would be a kind of average of about 15 to 20 parameters that we have decided as wetland health reflectors. For example, pH of water, then dissolved oxygen in water, ammonia in water, then the presence and spread of aquatic weed like water hyacinth, then encroachment on the shore, then effluents coming to a wetland, or the effluents can be industrial effluent or it can be domestic sewage also, right? Algal blooms, presence of algal blooms in the wetland. How many species of birds occur at that particular wetland and what is the approximate number, right? Any other aquatic wildlife present at the wetland, diversity of aquatic vegetation. So all these things will be considered as parameters that indicate the wetland health. So more the number of parameters having good status, into an inverted comma, good status, uh, good would be the health of that particular wetland. In the similar way, more the number of parameters having bad status, right? The possibility is that that particular wetland is in bad health. So tomorrow we will be for the whole day, about 4 or 5 people from Foundation for Ecological Welfare would be moving from one wetland to the other wetland and doing this exercise. Okay, and at the end of the day, we would decide what was the proportion of good health wetlands, what was the proportion of moderate health wetlands, and what was the proportion of poor health wetland. So the idea behind this entire program is that to show to you what is the overall status of wetlands in western part of India, which is more or less a reflection of other parts of India also, because Foundation for Ecological Welfare's headquarters is in Gujarat, Western India. That's why we have it is easy for us to cover the wetlands in this region of the world, of the country. I'm sorry. So it is a bit unique program, and most important thing is that those who have registered to this program, they would be getting a link shortly, probably by end of the day today, that is on 2nd February, or maybe early morning of 3rd February. And by using this link, those who are interested would be able to see our live exercise at wetlands 3 times a day, once in morning, once in the afternoon or early evening, and once in late evening. Okay, so 3 times a day, every time maybe for 30 minutes, you would be seeing us working on some of the other wetlands. And on some convenient day in the forthcoming week, we would again send you the link to see a compilation of the whole program in the form of YouTube video clip. Okay, that would be for 45 minutes. So I hope that people, instead of just arranging lecture or arranging bird watching and plastic cleaning, the Foundation for Ecological Welfare wanted to show uh, the status of wetlands live from the field. Okay, and all of you can decide, are we doing well-being of our wetlands? If we are not doing well-being of our wetlands, how wetlands can do our well-being? But I hope that many wetlands would be having good health. So, and we have hopes that they can do well-being of human society. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that Foundation for Ecological Welfare's field program tomorrow, that is on 3rd February, would be very, very interesting. So don't forget to join our YouTube link 3 times a day. That is morning, afternoon, and evening. Okay, and all those who have registered will be getting an email about the timings of seeing these YouTube video films. Okay, from which is live from the field. So don't worry about how would you see that. You will get everything in detail through email from few.ecology@gmail.com. And this email will come to all the registered participants today itself till night. So thank you very much for joining today and listening to Dr. Dishant Parashaya's presentation, which was a lovely presentation. And I once again thank Dr. Dishant for that. And please wait till tomorrow. It will be very, very interesting program. And on the basis of that field program, you would be able to see us working at wetlands, various wetlands, 3 times a day. And then you would also be provided with a link, separate link, to see the whole video compilation. And that would be a video for about 45 to 60 minutes. And its date, etc., will be informed to you later on through emails. Thank you very much.